Hello folks, I'm going to do a real short video here this morning. I shot this 8-point buck a week ago today, and wasn't really big enough to take it to the taxidermist and have it mounted like I have in the past, so I do have, I'm going to adjust this camera a little real quick, but I do have a really good taxidermist that I like, Joe Cochran at Nature's Image Taxidermy in Lombard. But anyway, I shot this 8-point buck. I didn't feel like it was really a big enough rack to justify the expense of having a full head mount done, so I thought I'd try my luck at a European mount. And I'm just going to explain to you real quick what I did. After taking the head off the deer, you have to remove all the hide. That's kind of a pain in the butt around the ears and everything, but I removed everything. And then I cut as much cartilage as I could off between my field dressing knife and a little X-Acto scalpel blade knife with a scalpel style blade in it. And there's really a lot of cartilage on these things at the joints and stuff, but also up in the nasal passages. But I got as much as I could, cleaned it. The mandible, actually, which is the lower jaw, I believe. I'm no professional taxidermist, by the way. This is my first time ever even trying to do one of these. But I took and soaked it. According to Alaska Department of Fish and Game, I looked it up online. I soaked it in Biz powder and water. And if you can see, there's a big black tub over there. That's what I submerged the skull in. And you mix 3/4 cup of Biz powder, which has a lot of powdered chlorine in it. You don't want to use regular chlorine bleach on a skull because, from what I'm told, I'm no expert again, is that the skull will crack very easily and get brittle and break. This thing's still nice. It seems to have a good texture to it. But I soaked it for a day and a half. Now, heavier bear skulls and stuff, they say 3 days. I soaked it a day and a half. And then I took and went in all the nooks and crannies, scraped a lot of the cartilage out. There's places like in the eye sockets and these, I don't know if you can see it, but there's like little nasal passages here. And what I did to clean them out was I took a piece of wire and just bent hooks on it and pushed it up in there and just kept pulling it out. And you can take tweezers, or I got a real fine pair of needle nose pliers and get all that cartilage out of there. Now when you get it done, the mandible will just fall off the deer, and sometimes they say the teeth will loosen up, though mine all still seem pretty tight. I actually brush the teeth with a stainless wire brush, and I also use that to brush the skull to get some of the finer spots of cartilage off the skull in places. There's just a lot of nooks and crannies with the nasal bones, the stuff up inside here. And again, I just used a piece of wire and I bent different size hooks on the end of it and jammed them up in there. What I planned to do is I wanted to attach the mandible. So what I did is I just took a couple self-drill and tapping screws and attached it because I want it as part of the mount. A lot of people, when they find a skull in the woods, the lower mandible's off and gone. A coyote will come grab it, chew it up, or a lot of other wild animals, and sometimes the mandible's gone, or they drop it, break it, and it falls off. It's pretty fragile. There's not much holding it together, just this little strip right here, and it's pretty flimsy. I had to kind of, normally these wouldn't be this tight to the skull. I maybe could have put some spacers in there, but I didn't because I think it'll look better this way when it's mounted. I cut out a walnut plaque on the bandsaw and routed the edge, and that's what it's going to end up going on. I'm debating, sometimes they do like a desktop mount where they'll take like I'm going to set this down so I don't break it. Take like a flat base and maybe cut this at a bevel and fasten it to there too, and I'm going to stain it and varnish it. But I'm also going to hydro dip this in spray paint and do a camo pattern on the skull after I mask off the antlers, and maybe I'll post a video of how it comes out. I'm not going to post a video of how that process is done. It's pretty simple and it's kind of been done to death. There's quite a few videos on YouTube already that you can find and figure out how to do that yourself, I'm sure. But anyway, the skull come out really clean. I'm real happy. I've only I started this day before yesterday, and I got all the hide off, got it as clean as I could. And then yesterday morning, or I think that afternoon, I went and got some Biz, mixed it 3/4 cup of Biz powder to a gallon of water. So I probably used well, it's 1.5 to 2 gallons. That tub's pretty big, so I used a pretty good portion of a box of it when I mixed it up. But boy, it really cleaned it up nice and whitened the skull and didn't seem to harm it at all. So I'm pretty happy with the results, and just wanted to show you how it comes out. Screwing the mandible to it will keep me from losing that and the teeth, and get her mounted up, and maybe I'll post a video and show you what it looks like when I'm all done. I hope this was helpful to some of you guys that are wondering how to clean a skull. My dad worked in biology at Northern Illinois University for many, many years. He's been gone 10 years now, but they actually had a tank of domestic beetles, and he'd take skulls and he was able to just put them in there, and the beetles would eat, after he took the hide off, the beetles would eat all the cartilage and everything off. After a couple of weeks, he'd pull them out and he'd have a clean skull. Well, unfortunately, that's not that easy for us. Also, you know, the brain cavity is, if you look back here where the spine attached, that's really the only access to get the brain out of here. Now, they say to fish it out with wire and tweezers, and I tried that. What I did do that I didn't mention too is after I got as much cartilage off as I could, I actually put this on the Coleman camp stove out on the deck, heated up a big canner pot full of boiling water, and I boiled it for 1.5 hours. Now, you don't want to boil it too long or you'll damage the bone. Once again, it's very harsh on it. But boiling it actually cooked all the cartilage and then what meat that I didn't have off it, and also the brain matter. And it makes it a little easier to remove it and clean it up. They say to scrape it and use wire and stuff like that to get the brain out of the brain cavity, but what I did is, it was kind of messy, I got to tell you, but I took it outside and I fired up the pressure washer and I blew the brain cavity out, and the brains came out that way. I know it sounds kind of gross, but it was a whole lot faster and easier than trying to sit there and fish wires in there, and I mean, you could spend half a day trying to get that cleaned out. So I did it in about 10-15 minutes. Anyway, that's all I wanted to post. I hope this is helpful to some of you folks out there. If it is, I'd appreciate it if you'd like my video. Till later on when I get her all painted, thank you. Have a good day.